Rap music has been garbage for decades now, and finally, it's actually shown a tangible result in the recent news where, due to Kendrick Lamar's Luther no longer being in the top 100, it has led to a first since 1990, over 35 years, a first where there's no rap song in the Billboard Top 100 uh, Top 40 list, or I should say, the Billboard Hot 100's Top 40 list. Now, I made a short about this, but this is a subject matter that deserves a video. And as I stated in the YouTube short that I made about this, I personally feel starting around the time where songs like Soulja Boy's music, which came out in 2007, where they made these rap dance songs that had repeated choruses. You know, when Soulja Boy hit, coming up on the 2010s, that's when you got a slew of those type of songs and those type of rappers. You know, another rap artist that come to mind is Gucci Man. You know, basically retard rap where someone would mumble, various incoherent lyrics and have a hit. And you had a lot of rappers in the ilk of Soulja Boy and Gucci Man that became mainstream. And before you know it, all of the rappers were rapping to the type of beats that they rapped on, trying to do the song dance songs like they were doing, and it just continued to devolve. Now, rap music for most of its history has always been about promoting degenerate, low-life, literal criminal behavior, but in recent years, especially with the emergence of drill rap, I mean, they've just been blatant about promoting homicidal behavior. So when you combine that on top of just the general garbage nature of the genre, for about damn near 2 decades now, it makes sense that this would happen to this genre alone. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't mean that rap, hip hop, and its influence and how people imitate the personas, especially amongst the community, it doesn't mean that that's going to go away. But I don't know. Hopefully, this gets Negroes to actually have to forcibly go back to lyricism, what existed in like the first 20 years of rap, 20 to 25 years, give or take a few. Yeah, because even though they promoted degenerate criminal behavior, especially after they killed party rap, ousting the likes of MC Hammer from the genre, you still actually got, talent lyricists, especially, throughout the 90s, the entire decade of the 90s, and, the earlier 2000s. Every now and then, of course, you get a decent song, but generally it's trash. And so it's only fitting that it's making this sort of history. And the closest people to the 40 spot was some guy called Young Boy with a song called Shot Calling at number 44. And then Cardi B, the confessed prostitute criminal, she had a song. And some rapper called Big X the Plug was just outside of the top 40 spot. And so, when you have rappers like that makes up the majority of what represents rap music in the mainstream, again, this sort of thing should be happening more often, where there's not a rap song in the Billboard Hot 100's Top 40 list. And I'm sure Negroes, as they typically do, will point the finger everywhere else but themselves. But the reality is, this is a result of what Negroes choose to produce and co-sign, you know. And you also have to add the fact that these Negro artists go out of their way to chase away their non-black audience. You can't say nigger when I'm rapping. You have that going around with these contemporary artists, who are more offended by hearing the N-word from a white audience repeating their song, more offended by that than, the murderers and the murders that exist within that genre. But again, that's typical low IQ Negro logic. And so, yeah, what if the whites just decide, you know what? Fuck your music. We won't listen to it. I mean, if that truly does happen, if white people in general stop consuming it, non-blacks in general stop consuming it, then yeah, rap music won't just have 1 week or 1 month out of the Billboard charts, but they would have years without having a top ranked song in the Billboard charts. Because the Negroes that do support it, as we know, generally like the bootleg, rip it off, not pay for the music. The only people that generally do pay for the music back when it was hot and still are usually, the non-black audience, suburban whites and other demographics of people, not black. But anyway, I just thought this was something to highlight because, this is significant news. And again, we could only hope that it's not just rap music that gets booted out of the mainstream, charts, but it's the so-called culture and mentality that still permeates our society, because it's only exaggerated what was already here, which is, outrageous POC criminal behavior. But anyway, that's all I have to say about this.